chapters 31 through 36 of the book of Ezekiel, from the Holy Bible in Modern English, translated by Ferrar Fenton. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Mark Penfold. Chapter 31. It was in the 11th year, on the 3rd of the 1st month, that the command of the ever-living came to me to say, Son of Adam, ask Pharaoh king of the Mitzrayim and all his crowd, who are you like in your grandeur? You saw Ashur was a cedar in Lebanon, with beautiful branches and silent shade and lofty heights, with his foliage like dark clouds. He grew by the brooks, the deep rose for him, her streams ran round his roots and sent their rills to all the trees of the field. So his stature was higher than all the trees in the fields, and his branches increased, and his boughs multiplied from the plentiful water sent to him. All the birds of the skies nestled in his branches, and all the beasts of the field bred under his boughs, and many nations rested under his shade. And he was beautiful in his grandeur and wide-stretching leafage, for his roots were in plenty of water. The cedars in the garden of God could not hide him. The pines were not equal to his boughs, nor were the planes to his branches. All the trees in the garden of God were not equal to him in his beauty. I made him beautiful with his many branches, and all the trees in the garden of God envied him. However, the mighty Lord says this, because of excessive height, and placing his foliage in the clouds, and lifting his heart in pride, I have given him to the prince of nations. He will deal with him. I have driven him off in his crime, and foreign cruel nations shall cut him down, and abandon him on the hills, when all his glorious boughs will wither, and his branches be broken by the strong of the earth. And all the peoples of the earth have fled from his shade and left him. Upon his wreck all the birds of the skies will settle, and all the beasts of the field come to his boughs. So let none of all the trees by the brooks exalt themselves on high, nor place their foliage in the clouds, nor station themselves above all the drinkers of water. For all will be given to death, to the earth beneath, amongst the sons of Adam who go down to the pit. On the day he went to the grave, said the mighty Lord, I mourned, I covered the deep for him, I stopped the rivers, I shut up many waters. I darkened Lebanon for him, and all the trees of the field fainted for him. At the sound of his fall the nations shook. At his descent to the grave, at his descent to the pit, the depths of the earth sighed. All the trees of Eden, the best and fairest of Lebanon, all that drink waters, they went down with him to the grave, to the slain by the sword, who lay scattered beside him among the nations. Are you like him in glory and grandeur among the trees of Eden? You will still be brought down with the trees of Eden to the lower earth among the defiled, lying with those killed by the sword, you Pharaoh and all your companions, says the mighty Lord. Chapter 32. It was in the 12th year, on the 12th month, on the 1st of the month, the command of the ever-living came to me to say, Son of man, take up a lament for Pharaoh king of the Mitzrayim, and say about him, You were like a young lion to nations, and you were like to a reptile in seas, and you paddled your feet in the rivers, and muddled about in your streams. But thus says the mighty Jehovah, Over you I will fling out my net, and my toils with a great crowd of men. Leave on land on the face of the field, and the birds of the skies light on you, and the beasts of the earth on you gorge. On the hills I will fling out your flesh, and the vales shall be full of your worms. Flood the land where you swam with your blood, and fill the dales up to the hills. When I quench you, I'll darken the stars, and cover the sun in a cloud, and the moon shall not give out her light. For you darkened the lamps of the skies, and spread darkness over your land. Thus the Almighty Lord has declared. Many nations will grieve at the heart when I wreck you along with the tribes, in lands that you never had known, and waste many peoples with you, and kings lie in trouble for you when I brandish my sword in their face, and shrink back in terror each one for his life in the day of your fall. For thus says the mighty Lord, the sword of the king of Babel shall come to you. I will fell you by the swords of his generals, the most cruel of the nations, and they will plunder the pride of Mitzer and destroy her wealth. And I will deprive her of all the cattle beside her many streams, nor shall the foot of man muddle them again, nor the hoof of cattle muddle them, when I cause your brooks to shrink and your rivers to run like oil, says the mighty Lord. When I make the land of the Mitzrayim desolate and deprive the country of its industry, when I strike its inhabitants, they will acknowledge that I am the ever-living. This is the lamentation with which the daughter of the nations will lament her. They will lament over Mitzer and all her wealth. They will lament her, says the mighty Lord.
It was in the 12th year, on the 15th of the month, that the command of the ever-living came to me to say,
Son of Adam, wail over the population of Egypt, and the daughters of the noble nations gone down beneath the earth, descended to the pit. You beauty, descend and lie down with the vile. In the home of the slaughtered who fall by the sword, they give her a bed with her crowds. From the midst of the grave, heroes call out to her, where the mighty departed lie slain by the sword. There is Ashur and all his assembly with him. They are buried, all slain as they fell by the sword. Each is placed in his tomb at the sides of the pit, and his troops still about him surrounding his grave. They are all of them slain and flung down by the sword, who made themselves terrors when living on earth. Elam is there with her friends, all surrounding her tomb, who were all of them slaughtered and felled by the sword, who departed, defiled to the earth underneath, who made themselves terrors when living on earth, but were loaded with shame when they went to the pit. In the midst of the slain they have made her a bed, and with all her companions around her entombed. They were slain by the sword, and the whole were disgraced, though in life they had made themselves terrors to earth. And they bear their disgrace with those gone to the pit. She is laid in the midst of her slain. There is Meshech and Tubal with great hosts around, all entombed in disgrace with the slain by the sword, though in life they had made themselves terrors on earth. Lie they not with the heroes who fell in defeat, who went down to the grave with their weapons of war? 'Neath their heads are their swords, and their rags on their bones, though in life they had made themselves terrors on earth. And yourself shall be broke in the midst of the vile. You shall lie down with those who are slain by the sword. There is Edom, her king, and her princes are there, who are laid with their brave, but all slain by the sword. They sleep there with the vile, and are gone to the pit. All the league of the north and all Zidon are there, who fell slain with their terrible heroes ashamed, and lie vilely disgraced with the slain by the sword, and bear their reproach with those gone to the pit. Pharaoh sees them, feels comfort for all his slain host. Pharaoh, slain by the sword with his powerful troops, yes, Pharaoh's whole host, says my God ever-living. Though his terrors he placed on the living on earth, I cause him to sleep in disgrace with those slain by the sword. Yes, Pharaoh and all his great host, said Jehovah my God.
Chapter 33. The command of the ever-living came again to me to say,
Son of Adam, speak to the children of your people, and say to them, when I bring a sword against a country, and take a man of that country to its borders, and appoint him as a watchman for them, and he sees the sword coming to the country, and he blows his trumpet and arouses the people, whoever hears the sound of the trumpet and does not take warning, but the sword approaches and seizes him, his blood will be upon his own head. He heard the sound of the trumpet and did not take warning. His blood will be on himself, since he had been warned to protect his life. But if when the watchman saw the sword advancing, he did not sound the trumpet, nor warn the people, and the sword came and took a person from them, he will have been taken by his fault, and I will require his blood at the hand of the watchman. And you, son of Adam, I have appointed you as a watchman for the house of Israel. Therefore listen to the command from my mouth, and warn them by it. If I say to the wicked that he shall die for his wickedness, and you do not speak to warn the sinner from his wicked way, he will die by his sin, but I will seek his blood on your hand. But when you warn the wicked to turn from his way, and he does not turn from his course, he will die for his sin, but you will have delivered your soul. So now, son of Adam, speak to the house of Israel, address them who say, because our sins and offenses are upon us, we waste away by them, and there is no revival. Say to them, by my life, says the mighty Lord, I do not delight in the death of the wicked, but wish the wicked to turn from his course and be revived. Turn from your bad course. Why will you kill yourselves, house of Israel? Therefore you, son of Adam, tell the children of your people, the righteousness of the good will not rescue him at the time when he sins, and the wickedness of the wicked will not weigh against him when he turns from his wickedness, nor the righteous be able to live by it when he sins. When I tell the righteous that he shall live, and he relies in that righteousness and does wrong, all his righteousness will not be remembered, but for the wrong he has done he will die by it. But when I tell the wicked he shall die, and he abandons his offenses and practices justice and right, if the wicked restores the pledge, returns the theft, follows the rules of life, ceases to do wrong, then he shall live, he shall not die. All the offenses by which he had offended will not be remembered against him. He practices justice and right, he will live. But the children of your people say, the path of the Almighty is not straight. Your path, however, is not straight. By the righteous turning from his righteousness and practicing evil, he then dies by it, and by the wicked turning from his wickedness and practicing justice and righteousness, he is revived by them. Yet you say, the path of the Almighty is not straight. House of Israel, I will sentence every one of you by his own courses.
It was in the 12th year, on the 10th of the 5th month of our transportation, a refugee from Jerusalem came to me to say,
the city has been assaulted.
But the hand of the Lord had been upon me in the evening before the refugee came, and he had opened my mouth when he came to me in the morning, and I could speak, being no longer dumb. So the command of the ever-living came to me to say,
son of Adam, the inhabitants of the ash heaps in the land of Israel exclaim and say, Abraham was an individual, yet possessed the country, and we are many. Give us the possession of the country. Therefore tell them, thus says the mighty Lord, because of the blood you eat and the raising of your eyes to idols and the blood you have shed, ought you to possess the country? You stand on your ruins practicing depravities, and each corrupts the wife of his neighbor, yet you would possess the country? Tell them this, thus says the mighty Lord, by my life, those in the ruins shall fall by the sword, and those in the open field I will give to the beasts for food, and those in forts and caves shall die of disease. I will also make the country desolate and waste, and her proud power shall fail, and the hills of Israel be a desert without a passenger. Then they will learn that I am the ever-living when I make the country desolate and waste because of all the depravities they practice. And you, son of Adam, the children of your people make a talk about you in the shadow of the walls and at the doors of their houses, and they say one to another, each to his friend, let us go now and listen what message has come from the ever-living. But they only come to you as a gathering crowd, and sit before you as a mob, and listen to your speech, but they do not practice it, for they flatter with their mouth, but their hearts follow villainy. And you are like a love song to them, beautiful in sound and cheering in tone, so they listen to your words, but they do not practice them. But when that comes which will come, they will acknowledge that a prophet has come amongst them. Chapter 34.
The command of the ever-living came again to me to say,
Son of Adam, preach against the shepherds of Israel, and tell those shepherds, Thus says the mighty Lord, Woe to the shepherds who shepherd themselves! Should not shepherds shepherd their flock? Who consume the milk, and wear the wool, and kill the fattened, but shepherd not the flock? You have not strengthened the feeble, and have not cured the wounded, and have not bandaged the broken, nor turned back the straying, nor sought the lost, but brutally kicked and driven them off. So they were scattered without a shepherd, and devoured by all the wild beasts of the field, and chased. My sheep wandered on all the hills, and on all the high mountains, and over all the surface of the country the flock was scattered, and you never inquired or sought for them. Therefore, shepherds, listen to the message from the ever-living. By my life, says the mighty Lord, it is because you let my flock be devoured by all the wild beasts of the field without a shepherd. And the shepherds never care about my flock, but the shepherds mind themselves and do not mind the sheep. Therefore, shepherds, listen to the message from the ever-living. Thus says the mighty Lord, I am against you, shepherds, and will demand my sheep from your hands, and will dismiss you from your shepherdship of the flock. And you, shepherds, shall shepherd yourselves no more, but I will rescue my sheep from you, and you shall not devour them. For thus says the mighty Lord, I will attend my sheep and look after them, as a shepherd looks after his flock during the time he is amongst the scattering sheep. So I will look after my sheep and rescue them from all the hollows where they have been scattered in the day of clouds and darkness, and will bring them out from the peoples, and collect them from the countries, and bring them to their own ground, and shepherd them on the hills of Israel, by the brooks, and near the inhabited country. I will shepherd them with good shepherding, and their folds shall be on the high hills of Israel, where they shall lie down in good pasture, and feed fat on the provender of the hills of Israel. I will shepherd my flock, and I will comfort them, says the mighty Lord. I shall seek for the lost, and will turn back to straying, and bandage the broken, and strengthen the feeble, but kill the fat and strong. I will shepherd properly. I will also give my flock, the mighty Lord says this, myself justice between sheep, and rams and he-goats. Does it seem nothing to you to have fed on good pasture, and neglected your shepherding, that you must trample it with your feet? And having been quenched with clear water, but you must muddle the rest with your feet, so that my sheep must eat what your feet crushed, and drink what your feet had befouled? Consequently, the mighty Lord says this, I myself will decide between the fat sheep and the lean sheep, because you have pushed with side and shoulder, and struck with your horns all the weak, until you have expelled them to the outside. I will protect my sheep, and they shall not again become a prey. For I will decide between sheep, and will appoint a perfect shepherd who will shepherd them, my servant David, who shall pasture them and be their shepherd. I, the ever-living, will also be their God, and my servant David a prince to them. I, the ever-living, have said it. Then I will make a treaty of peace with them, and expel cruel beasts from the country, so that they may reside in the open plains in security, and sleep in the woods. I will also endow those who surround my hills with a blessing, and rain shall pour down in its season, and there shall be blessed showers. Then the tree of the field shall bear its fruit, and the earth give out its produce, and they shall be secure on their grounds. Then they will know that I am the ever-living, when I have broken yokes off them, and delivered them from power of those who enslaved them. For they shall never again be a prey for the heathen, nor shall the wild beasts of the earth devour them, but they shall rest in safety and without fear. And I will raise for them a wonderful plant, and they shall be no more destroyed by famine in the country, and no more bear the insults of the heathen, but acknowledge that I am their ever-living God, and the house of Israel are my people, said the mighty Lord. You, however, my sheep, the sheep of my pastures, are men. I am your God, says the mighty Lord. Chapter 35.
The command of the ever-living came again to me to say,
Son of Adam, turn towards Mount Seir, and proclaim against it, and say to it, Thus says the mighty Lord, I am opposed to you, Mount Seir, and will extend my hand against you, and make you desolate and waste. I will lay your towns in ashes, and you shall become desolate, and learn that I am the ever-living. Because you had a perpetual hatred, and poured out the children of Israel to the hand of the sword, at the time of Edom, at the time of his passionate slaughter. Therefore by my life, says the mighty Lord, I will prepare blood for you, and blood shall pursue you. Since you did not hate blood, therefore blood shall pursue you. So I will make Mount Seir desolate and waste, and will cut off from it travelers and resident. I will also cover his hills with his slain, and on your highlands and vales and plains those slain by the sword shall fall. I will make you an everlasting desolation. Your towns shall not be rebuilt. Then you will learn that I am the ever-living, because you said, Both those nations and those two countries will be mine, and I shall possess them. But the ever-living was there. Therefore by my life, says the mighty Lord, I will act like the rage and envy that you displayed against them, and display myself as amongst them when I punish you. You also will learn that I am the ever-living, and have heard all the insults you uttered against the mountains of Israel. They are desolated for us. They are given us to be devoured. And you inflated yourself against me by your mouth, and boasted against me by your words. I heard. Thus says the mighty Lord, when all this country is glad, I will make you desolate. You rejoiced over the injuries to the house of Israel when desolate. Therefore I will do this to you. All Mount Seir and all Edom shall become desolate, and learn that I am the ever-living. Chapter 36. But now, son of Adam, preach to the mountains of Israel, and say, Mountains of Israel, listen to a message from the ever-living. Thus says the mighty Lord, because your enemies say, Ah, ah, at you. The everlasting hills will be our possessions. Therefore proclaim and say, Thus says the mighty Lord, although they have ravaged and worried you all round, to make you a province of broken nations, and to bring you on to the end of the tongue as a contemptible people. Therefore, mountains of Israel, listen to the message of the mighty Lord. The mighty Lord says to the mountains, and to the hills, and to the valleys and dales, and to the waste heaps of ashes, and to the deserted cities that were plundered and laughed at by the broken nations around you, Thus says the mighty Lord, I will promise in the fire of my indignation against the broken nations and against Edom, all of them who assigned my land to themselves as a possession, with a delighted heart and a malignant mind, that they should be a subject of plunder. Therefore proclaim to the soil of Israel, and tell the mountains and hills and valleys and dales, Thus says the mighty Lord, I promise you in my indignation and anger, because you have borne the insults of the heathen. Therefore, thus says the mighty Lord, I have raised my hand, that the heathen around you shall bear their own disgrace. But you, mountains of Israel, shall grow trees and bear fruit for my people Israel when they are ready to come. For I am with you, and will turn towards you, and you will be cultivated and sown, and I will increase a population from all of the house of Israel, who will return to the burnt-up cities and rebuild them. For I will increase men and cattle upon you, and you will increase and breed to your ancient population, and I will benefit you more than formerly. Then you will learn that I am the ever-living, when I bring the men of my people Israel to you, who will possess you, and you shall be their estates, and you shall never again be bereaved. Thus says the mighty Lord, because they say to you, you devour men and have been a destroyer of your population, therefore you shall not again devour your population, nor again be bereaved of your population, says the mighty Lord. And I will no more startle you by the insult of the heathen, and you shall no more bear the reproach of the peoples, for you shall not be bereft of your population again, the mighty Lord declares.
The message of the ever-living came again to me to say,
Son of Adam, when the house of Israel resided in their own country, they defiled it by their conduct and idols. Their conduct before me was like that of a depraved, loose woman. So I poured my indignation upon them because of the blood they shed upon the earth and its defilement by idols. I also scattered them amongst the heathen and littered them in the countries. I punished them for their ways and practices. But upon arriving amongst the heathen where they were sent, they degraded my holy name by saying to them, These are the people of the ever-living, but they have been put out from his country. I, however, have regard to my holy name, which the house of Israel have degraded amongst the heathen where they wander. Therefore tell the house of Israel, Thus says the mighty Lord, I will not effect this for your sakes, house of Israel, but for my holy name, which you have degraded amongst the heathen to whom you have come. I intend to sanctify my greatly degraded name amongst the heathen, which you degraded amongst them, so that the heathen may learn that I am the ever-living, the mighty Lord declares, by my making myself sacred in their eyes through you. Then I will bring you from the heathen and collect you from all the countries, and bring you to your own soil and wash you with pure water, and purify you from all your corruptions, and cleanse you from your idolatries, and give you a new heart, and put a new spirit in your breast, and remove the heart of stone from your body, and place in you a heart of flesh, and put my spirit into your breast, and cause you to walk according to my institutions, and regard and practice my decrees. Then I will restore you to the country I gave to your ancestors, and you shall be my people, and I will be your God, and rescue you from all your corruptions, and call to the corn and increase it, and not lay famine upon you. I will also increase the fruit of the trees and the products of the fields, so that the reproach of famine will no more be brought against you by the heathen. Then you will reflect on your wicked ways and bad conduct, and be despicable in your own sight because of your sins and depravities. I shall not do this for your sakes, the mighty Lord declares. Let yourselves know that, and be ashamed and feel the disgrace of your conduct, house of Israel. The mighty Lord says thus, In the time when I cleanse you from all your passions and restore you to your cities, and you rebuild the burnt ruins, and the desolate land that was a waste to the eyes of all who passed through it is again cultivated, they will ask, How has this country that was a desert become like the Garden of Eden, and its burnt and desolate and broken down cities inhabited fortresses? Then the fragments of the heathen around will recognize that I, the ever-living, have rebuilt the ruins and planted the waste. I, the ever-living, have promised and will perform it. Thus says the mighty Lord, Yet I must be requested by the house of Israel to do this. Then I will increase population for them like sheep. Like blessed sheep they shall be, like sheep in Jerusalem at her fairs. The burnt cities shall be full of men like flocks, and they shall learn that I am the ever-living. The end of chapters 31 through 36. Recording by Mark Penfold.